Hello, coaches. Happy Wednesday. Hope you're all having an amazing week. Before we dive in, as always, let me just get this going on my phone. So in case anybody is here live and they want to chat and hang out with me, they will be able to do that. Let me just make sure this is working. It is. My volume is down. We are set. Fantastic. Well, again, happy Wednesday to everybody. Super excited to be back here with you for another one of our weekly lives, one of our weekly transmissions, where my hope is that I'm imparting some kind of wisdom, some kind of value that can help you in either the mindset side of your coaching business and or the skill set side of your coaching business. And today, we actually have a question that was just posted a few minutes ago by somebody that's in the group here. And it's a great question. And it's a question I get asked all the time. And so I want to share with all of you now what my take is on this. Whether you're here live or you're here on the replay, please let me know you are here and that you are seeing this. I'm really hoping Facebook is going to start letting people see more of my stuff. It's very strange. This is something where we never truly know what the algorithm looks for. It's not a science, it's at least not one that they let us know about. And it's felt like recently a lot of my content has not been getting seen by nearly as many people. We just look at the analytics of how many people have seen the videos and stuff that I've been posting on a weekly basis here. And it used to be much, much higher, and now it's dipped. And we have no idea why. But this is why, and this is a good reason as to why this question came up and why I wanted to answer it. It's a good thing to talk about here, the platforms that we are creating in our world and why it's important. So Matt, what's up, brother? So good to have you here live. And it's your question we're going to be tackling. So it's perfect that you're here. Welcome to the party. So the question here that came up from Matt, and you'll see it here in the group, is Matt said he is looking to build his speaking and coaching business. As a matter of fact, here's the actual question. Matt said, ask, I'm focusing on writing and speaking. Ask is something that we do in the CPBI program so that we know, looking at it quickly, if it's a question for me to answer or not. Ask, I'm focusing on writing and speaking. Coaching is the third line of my service stack. Service stack is also something we teach in the program. So if you don't know what that is, it's okay. It's just kind of the makeup of all your different offerings and how they fit in together to make sure you're not having all these disparate offers. We see this all the time with coaches. They want to do 15 different things and then they get really overwhelmed because the things don't have a direct connection to each other. And then it makes it very, very hard to put your message out in the world and to have people really understand what you're about. So Service Stack is a way to really bring all that stuff together and to show at a glance what you're doing that's free, what that you're doing that's paid, and how the nurturing actually works to bring people from being strangers to being a part of your tribe. So that's in short what we teach in the Service Stack training. And what Matt says here is, with that said, should I build a web page or focus on Facebook and Instagram? So that's the question here. For your coaching business and or speaking business, is it better for you to build a website or is it better for you to do Facebook and Instagram? Now, the answer to this question, which most people are probably going to hate, is it depends. And I don't mean the adult diapers, and that's fine too. It may depend that way as well. Sometimes I feel like I lose track of time sitting in this chair, and I wish I was wearing Depends. But that's not what we're talking about today. Something that I say all the time to clients and students when I'm doing any kind of business coaching, whether it's business coaching with coaches or business coaching with other companies that are not coaching related companies, service-based companies, because I do a lot of that as well, is something I will always say is context before content. Context before content. Now, what does that mean? What that means is that before you can make a decision about the thing that you're going to do or not do, in this case, a web page, Instagram, Facebook, we want to really slow this down and ask ourselves, why are we doing any of this? Because, a lot of people have a misconception that what I teach in my program for helping clients, helping coaches get clients, that it's all about how to use social media. And I think some people get turned off by that. They're like, oh, I don't want to become a social media person. I don't want to be promoting and spamming and doing all this stuff that we see and making fake promises and taking pictures next to Lamborghinis and private jets that we don't even own and all that stuff. And that could not be further from what I teach. And I would hope that you all see how I show up in the world and that's not what I do anyways. But the reason that we teach people anything around social media or creating content is not because we want you to become an influencer. It's not because we want you to get 10,000 followers. It's not because we want you to become a celebrity. And it's fine if you want any of those things. That's not why we're teaching it. The reason we're teaching it is because to zoom really far out, so before making a decision on webpage, Instagram, Facebook, going back to context, the reason we do any of this stuff online, right? Whether it is a Facebook page, an Instagram page, TikTok, Schmip Schmop, LinkedIn, Schfinkton, whatever you do, or web pages, or even email lists, we have to ask ourselves, why are we doing this? Well, the reason I have always done it and the way that I have always done it is that I want to find a way to serve the masses. I want to be able to macro serve. What does macro serve mean? Macro serve means how do I get valuable content in front of people for whom it is valuable, whether or not they ever work with me. Now, is the goal, of course, that you put out content and people resonate with it and then they want to reach out to you, or you're able to be in conversation with them because of something you shared that resonated with them? Of course, that's how I built the majority of my entire business, is that exact thing, creating content that I'm really clear how I help people. I'm really clear on how people, what people need to hear that are my people. We call this being hyper relevant to your perfect peeps. I'm really clear on that. And then when I share this content, somebody reads it or watches it and goes, oh my gosh, that's exactly something I've been dealing with. It's exactly something I've been struggling with. And so the reason that we do content at all, the reason that I send emails to my list, the reason that I post on Instagram stories, the reason I did, my podcast, the reason I did my show with Steve Chandler, the reason I wrote my book, the reason I started the CPBI, the reason I have this free Facebook group, the reason for all this stuff is service first. Right? How can I impact as many people as possible with a message that I think is powerful for them and that they identify when they see it? They read or watch the thing and they say, wow, I really needed to hear that. That's exactly what I'm looking for, what I need help with. So the reason I share all this is because we want to think about how are people going to interact with you the most, right? How are people going to interact with you the most? So when you think about web pages and you think about how people interact with web pages, how do you typically find somebody's web page? Think about that for a second. How is it that you stumble upon? Think about the last person's website you went to, whether they were a coach, whether they were an author, whether they were a nutritionist, whether they were whatever they were, right? Somebody. Now it's different for brands and stuff. If you're an Apple person, you probably should go to apple.com because you know Apple. But we're talking about people that don't necessarily have huge brands, or maybe people that have medium-sized brands. How did you find them? Chances are, and feel free to comment here in the comments, chances are you probably saw them on social media first, and from social media, you went to their website. Or potentially you were Googling for a particular thing, and because they had really good SEO, search engine optimization, on their website, it showed you who they were. Now, very rarely though, do I Google to find people who are in certain disciplines. For me, I am much more likely to go on social media and find people, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn, because then I get a sense of their most up-to-date and most dynamic content. When you look at web pages are historically static. Not a lot changes with them. My webpage, I haven't touched it probably in a couple of years. I haven't done anything with it at all. It's the exact same. And it's not even up to date, and it's not even accurate with a lot of the work that I do. There's little things here and there, but it's not fully accurate. It's not fully aligned with what I do now. And yet it hasn't impacted my business at all. Why? Because when you go to a web page, a static web page, it's great to be able to tell you, yes, it's basically a living brochure online, but it doesn't necessarily give people much value. It is a description of what it is you do. It may be a description of your story. It may be a description of your services. But the last time I checked, descriptions of services do not compel people to want to use services. An emotional connection, an emotional resonance, that's what gets people to want to do that. So how do we do that? How do we create more emotional resonance with people? Well, it's by creating a dynamic experience, an experience where you get to have a dialogue with people instead of a monologue. Websites are absolutely monologues. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not interacting with people on my website at all. So if my goal is to connect with people in a meaningful way, to serve them in a way that doesn't require me to be there, right? Like what I mean by that is I create a piece of content and then I can go to sleep and the content's still there. I don't have to be here live all day, 24 hours a day in order for you to get my content. But if I want to find a way to impact the most number of people and to create actual dialogue, to create actual connection with people, I want to look at the platforms that allow me to have that kind of connection with people. And if you look at websites versus Facebook or Instagram, Facebook and Instagram are going to be way more dynamic, way more dialogue over monologue than a website would be. So am I saying you shouldn't have a website? Absolutely not. I'm not saying that at all. Websites can be great. But what I want you to think about is what's actually going to bring people into your world. If you have somebody, if you share a piece of content and somebody comments on that piece of content, and from that piece of content, you guys go into a messenger conversation. And from that messenger conversation, you use what it is we teach as far as how to have messenger conversations that are really powerful and not salesy, or maybe you have your own methodology that works for you, that's fine. and you then have them come into an enrollment conversation, and you really create some massive transformation for them in that enrollment conversation. And then you use, again, whatever your enrollment process is. We teach one that's very heart-centered and very playful and fun, but whatever methodology you have, you get to a place where you propose coaching and they accept. They may have never touched your website. Again, does that mean the website's useless? Of course not. But if we're thinking about context of, I know that in order to have somebody sign up for coaching, I need to have a conversation with them. And I know that in order to have a conversation with them, there has to be a reason that feels compelling to them for us to have a conversation, which that happens for me in direct message with people because I get really clear what's going on in their world and I can offer help. And then if I know that the only way to get people into those messenger conversations is to provide some kind of real value for them, I know that I'm going to be able to do that more consistently by posting content on social media than by relying on my website. Now, I still get inquiries on my website for coaching and all that, which is great. Again, not demonizing websites. But what I'm saying is that if you're starting out and you are somebody who has limited time and limited funds to invest in technology and marketing and all those things, you are going to get way more bang for your buck by doing things like Facebook and Instagram and really getting clear on who you're serving, though. This is important. It's not about just posting for posting's sake. It has to actually serve people, which is why we teach, our methodologies on how to get really clear on that and having a framework around what you do. So it's much easier to create content that's going to resonate with the people that you want to serve. Again, whatever methodology you have, you'll know it's working if people are responding to what you're posting. If people aren't responding to what you're posting, then there's probably something off in the messaging. But what I'm saying is that is going to be the shortest route and it's going to be the cheapest. Really, it's free to post on social media. So I'm going to give you kind of a weird final thought here. Focus on whatever platform it is that your people are on, right? So if you are somebody who primarily works business to business, you're probably going to want to spend more time and energy on LinkedIn than you would on Instagram and Facebook. Not saying at all that corporate clients can't come from Instagram and Facebook, because they have definitely come for me. I have had corporate clients from Instagram and Facebook, actually more so than LinkedIn, because I don't really play in LinkedIn, even though I probably should. But understand where your people are, create content that's going to serve those people, and make sure you're doing other things, which I can't cover here, to really grow your following. It's not about mass following, it's about quality, not quantity, but doing the things you need to do to grow your home base, as we call it, so that more people have the opportunity to see your content. That is going to get you much more bang for your buck than building a website for thousands of dollars, paying more thousands of dollars for SEO or for some kind of search engine marketing or search engine optimization, just for people to get to your webpage, to see something that's static and doesn't really emotionally connect. It may emotionally connect with your story, but they don't really get a sense of the value you provide. And then maybe on your website, it actually directs them to your Instagram or Facebook, and they go, wow, this person's amazing. Look at all this great content. Well, what if we had just started with the great content and didn't worry so much about the website? So if you want to put up a one-pager, you want to put up just a one-page thing that tells a little bit about who you are in your story, that's great. You can find people that are fairly inexpensive to do that, but please don't spend multiple thousands of dollars on a website and SEO and all these other things. Dive into getting really clear on your message, really clear on how you help people and who you help, and then get really consistent at sharing that online. The one last thing I'll say is that this is also a great reason to start having an email list. And this is, of course, a much bigger question, so I don't want to go deep into this now on how to create an email list or how to stay consistent with content, but it's actually easier than you may think it is. But it's so when things like the things that are happening now with Facebook, where I'm unsure if the algorithm is showing my stuff to less people, I can send this exact same piece of content, which I often do, this or something that I've created before that's been repurposed. That's what I'm sending to my list. So I'm not even necessarily creating anything new for the list besides maybe writing a little bit of copy to go with whatever video I'm sending them. But now I have full control over that. So if Facebook and Instagram disappear tomorrow, I can still email the people that are on my list. And that's something that there's no algorithm to control that. Your email box doesn't say, you know what, if I have these two different emails to show Jason, I'm not going to show him this one, I'm going to show him this one. Now, if it's spam, that's a different story. But assuming they are legit emails, your email client does not say, I'm only going to show him this one, I'm not going to show him this one. Whereas Facebook and Instagram literally do that. I'm going to show him this one instead of this one for all these different random reasons that only Facebook and Instagram know. So, in conclusion, at the end of this rant, sure, have a webpage. Not a problem at all. Probably not going to be your best bang for your buck if getting into real connection and conversation with people is what you're looking for. Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn or any other platform, be on the platform where your people are, create meaningful, consistent content, and then be in conversation with people. Know how to move people from your content. Well, first of all, know how to create content that resonates. Know how to move people from that content into a private messenger conversation, and know how to move people from private messenger conversations, if you can actually think you can help them, into enrollment conversations. Have a powerful enrollment conversation with whatever whatever modality or methodology you have around your enrollment process and have them become clients. And that's all going to happen free of charge. And then lastly, build an email list as soon as you can. Create a lead magnet. If you don't know what a lead magnet is, it's just something that you give people in exchange for their email, and use that as another methodology to have communication and connection with people that are in your world. So, my man Matt, once again, thank you so much for this question about writing and speaking and coaching and whether or not you should build a web page or focus on Facebook and Instagram. I hope this is helpful. Matt says, love this, JG. Thank you. You're so welcome. Robbie says, so agree. Dynamic interaction, dialogue. Yes, you nailed it. That's exactly what it's about. And that's really what we teach. Like, again, we're not a social media marketing company. That's not what we teach our students to do. We teach them to utilize different tools, including the internet, to be able to create more dialogue, to create more connection, authentic, deeper connection with people that interact with them online. That's a major part of what we teach. And even if you're somebody who's building your business offline, creating content online is so huge. I can't tell you how many people that I've met out in person at networking events or through friends or whatever else. And it was us having a conversation and then them going to check out my Instagram or my Facebook that then had them contact me because they had an interaction with me in person. Now they have this content to back it up, and not once did they actually go to my website before reaching out to me. So that is my A to your Q. I hope it is helpful for you, Matt, and for anybody else who may be asking the same question. And let me know your thoughts. Let me know if this resonated with you. Let me know if this is something that you feel aligned with as well. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. So lots of love to all of you. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you very, very soon. Peace.